This is my 2014 GMC Sierra, and today I wanted to go through every single thing that I have done to this truck since I've bought it. That includes exterior and interior, and we're going to take a peek under the hood and tell you what I've done to the internals of the transmission and possibly some engine stuff. But without further ado, let's get right into it, starting with the outside. So when I first bought the truck, it was pretty bare. We had some pretty standard side steps on it that were beginning to rust out, so we took those off. And it also had some pretty stock wheels on it. We have removed those and only used them for winter use. However, now we've got a set of winter tires on Steely, so those will be going on in this harsh Canadian winter. But let's get into everything I've done. So let's start off with the obvious here. So I immediately went ahead and got some fuel off-road wheels that are actually the same size as the stock size. So they're 17 by 9s and they're on a tire that is 32 inches tall, 32 and a half inches, so almost a 33. And when I first got them put on, I obviously kept the stock ride height. So obviously that has changed now. The truck is leveled. So let me tell you what I did to do that. Up underneath this wheel well, as you can see, there is a taller block. I thought about also adding a leaf. I still might do that or go to a taller block, but I have since swapped it out with a 2-inch lift block as opposed to the stock 1-inch ride height one, just to kind of get rid of the sort of squat that it had when I first put the front lift on it, and I'll show you guys exactly what I did there. Basically, all I did was I took a 2-inch and a quarter block and threw it on top of the shock, just to kind of bring the ride height of the front up. Otherwise, this was sitting pretty low. The rake was quite bothersome for me, not the way I like my truck to look, so I threw that on there. And not to mention as well, behind every single one of these wheels is, I don't know if you can see it, but behind there is a rough country 2-inch spacer. I probably wouldn't go any larger than 2 inches if you guys are thinking of doing that, but it makes the wheels offset a little bit more, making it have a little bit of a more aggressive poke. That's about as far as I would want to go with it. Now, when I did get the wheels on, there was another job I wanted to have done, and that was throwing on this exhaust. So this is MBRP. It's the Blackline series. As you can see, it has been tore up pretty bad. So I do plan on possibly getting different tips for it. It hasn't rusted out on me yet, which is good. It's lasted me almost 3 winters now, so it has been pretty good. That is thrown on. It is still on a Y pipe like the stock setup, but it does exit out to a dual, and it does sound pretty good if I say so myself. And then, of course, once I had all that done, you know I had to do the whole fishing pole delete. So I went and swapped it out for this Amazon brand bullet antenna. I think it looks a lot better. And yeah, I'm just not a fan of the whip style antenna. Not my favorite look. Definitely had to get that as well. Also ended up getting some window tint, so it is pretty dark. I'm not going to say how dark it is, as well as a sun strip on top of the windshield just to block out the sun. Does a pretty decent job. I might go even further and get one on the bottom, or possibly tint the windshield. However, check your legalities in your state, province, wherever you may be. But I do plan to maybe do that. We will see. Tri-fold soft tonneau cover came with the truck. I do like having cover on the bed, as I do keep a lot of my detailing equipment as well as some hockey equipment in the back. Also has some plate covers on them. Again, check your legalities, guys, but I haven't had a problem with it. Love it on there. Makes the black on the truck really pop out, especially since I've plasti dipped all of my emblems on the truck. And you guys can actually check out the video I'll have linked here that you can see me actually doing that. And I also went ahead and also plasti dipped the front badge as well as the outer lining of the grille. That was mainly to cover up a damaged spot, but shh, don't tell anyone. But that is why that's done. I also went ahead and installed these chrome, I don't know if it's actually chrome, but it is chrome colored GMC mud flaps that I bought from Canadian Tire. And I just think it really completes the look on the rear of the truck. I really like it. I think it just complements the look of it. It just looks really neat. I like it. And the other thing I've done is I've gone ahead and replaced 90% of the bulbs in my truck with LEDs, and I even threw in these yellow LEDs for the fog lights. I think it just really complements the look of the truck. Obviously, that's why we modify the exteriors of these, but I like the looks of it. Threw it in there. I think it looks awesome. It also came with these rain deflectors. Now, the back ones weren't on the truck when I bought it. They pretty much fell off. And gotta be honest with you guys, I like them. I might get the in-channel ones because, let's face it, these things are pretty rough now. And I don't even think this is the right one for this truck. They don't fit right to the mirror, which is really weird. So yeah, might get new ones. Moving on to the interior of the truck, nothing too crazy here. The only thing that I have done is throw in some WeatherTech floor liners, both front and back. Please ignore some of the garbage in there. But yeah, I have done that, as well as some seat covers as well. Just some protection, really, and a phone mount. Other than that, pretty stock in here. Nothing too crazy has been done. And last but not least, before we move on to under the hood, as well as what I've done to the transmission and what should be done to 90% of Silverado trucks in this generation, we do have a bug deflector. This came with the truck. I just really don't want to take it off. It's not like it's damaged or anything underneath. I mean, paint looks good underneath. It hasn't been damaged. It still has some protection lining on it. I just don't want to take it off because I kind of like the look of it. Gives my truck a little mustache, you know? Moving on to under the hood, my first thing that I installed on the engine externally was simply this oil catch can that I got off Amazon. It's the cheapest one you can buy. It's still pretty solid. I did get different lines for it because the rubber lining that came with it, I didn't trust. It looked like it would melt if it touched any engine heat. It just looked flimsy, as well as some different hose clamps for it as well, just to make it, just to make sure that if it was going to catch any contaminants before it heads back into the intake, I wanted it to be secure. So that's thrown on there, and immediately went off to install a new aftermarket thermostat, as well as a new condenser and radiator. So this condenser actually has a beefier weld so that it doesn't get the infamous Silverado AC leak that is very common on these trucks, where it leaks right there on that weld that I showed you guys. And then next up, what I did was I threw in a cold air intake that you can see, and I actually have a video uploaded as well on the channel that you guys can watch of me throwing it on there and even hear a bit of a sound comparison on it. So anyways, that's anything that I bolted onto the truck, really. Other than that, it's been pretty stock, but I wanted to get into the tuning of this and what I've done with the transmission, and for that, I'm going to move into the cab of the truck. So here we are in the cab. So I did just want to talk to you guys about what I have done to the transmission and what tuning it has done to my truck as a whole. So back in 2023, the summer of 2023, I had an issue where my transmission started slipping pretty bad. Mind you, I just bought the truck, but the truck is 10 years old, but I did just buy the truck a year prior, like literally the summer before, and literally 12 months later, the transmission was slipping. So I checked the fluid. The fluid was clear with black specks. I knew right away this transmission was done. So I took it to a reputable shop in my area, had them replace the 6L80 with a 6L90 rebuild kit. So it's got all, the good internals, the build internals by Circle D. They ordered all the parts, they put it in the truck, and it's been no problem ever since. I've had one transmission fluid change, and that's it. It's been perfect. But let's get into the important details about why, even if you don't have your transmission rebuilt, why you may want to tune your truck. So out of the factory, the tuning of these trucks provides a lot of slip to allow for a more comfortable ride. I'm not going to get into too much of the details on there because a lot of other guys that are better at it have uploaded YouTube videos about it, and you can kind of search it up and be like 6L80, 6L90 tuning, HP tuners, just look that up and you'll kind of see guys explain why that's important. But why is it important for me? It's not working so hard, it's not under all this pressure and stress, and it's going to actually last longer. But basically what's changed is the RPM range for me is different, the shift points are different, the shift feel is different, and it just allows a little bit more pep in the truck. For anybody with this truck from 2014 to 2018, I've said it before in a video of mine, you really should get these tuned. And it's pretty inexpensive compared to everything else that you should do to your truck. It's only about, $250 for the credits, $300 for the credits, maybe some extra time for the shop, doesn't matter. You should go and get it done because it can make it last longer. And the other thing as well is get the transmission fluid changed on regular maintenance intervals. I wait 50,000 kilometers. I don't know what that, I think that's 30,000 miles around there. I get it changed around that time. And when I asked the guys about it, I said, "Well, should you flush or should you change?" And they said, "We would never flush, never flush." I know some guys on the forums and the Facebook pages will tell you on the 8 speeds you want to do a flush. These guys don't recommend it, and these guys are a pretty reputable shop. So take with that what you will. That's been my experience with it. I've changed the fluid, and I haven't had any problems with it. Um, I did want to mention as well, you couldn't see it from when I showed the condenser, but there is a cooler in the front of the grill as well, and that keeps my trans temps really, really low. So an aftermarket cooler is also really important for that as well. Something to look into, guys, especially if your transmissions are starting to run hot and you're towing things and you're, if you drive your truck like it's stolen, it helps as well. It's Kyle from the future here. I did want to mention as well, when I went and had the transmission tuned, I also had them tune the engine to take off the active fuel management. Now, before that, I had a handheld tuner and I tuned that out myself anyways. The shop says it does help with the issue. They say I'll never have an issue with it. I don't know how true that is, because I do know guys that get the AFM deleted and they still have a lifter fail. Funny enough, a lot of the times the lifter that fails isn't actually one of the cylinders that deactivates. So, but I mean, I haven't had any issues with it. I haven't had any issues with it. Just wanted to say that. But I have had that tuned out as well. Something else you guys might want to get done. The main reason I got it was because I didn't like the way the exhaust sounded when it switched into the 4-cylinder mode. Didn't really care too much. I was like, if it's going to fail, it's going to fail. If it's not, it's not. But that's why I got that done, was mainly because I didn't like the sound of the 4-cylinder. So if you guys do get an exhaust, something to think about. Especially with these trucks now being a couple years older, sometimes you might not even have a warranty on them. So getting them tuned isn't necessarily a big deal when it comes to warranty. But anyways, guys, finishing up the video here, so I'm going to show that part. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this quick video. Let me know what you guys want to see. I might do a video where I go into depths of how important it is to have a catch can on the truck, if it really does anything, show you guys my experience with it and what I've actually pulled out of that dang thing, and what it's like in a Canadian winter to have it, because trust me, you got to empty it quite a bit, or maybe a few other things. Anyways, leave your ideas and your thoughts in the comment section below. Go ahead and subscribe if you do like the channel. I really appreciate you guys checking this out, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video.